Hey y'all, I'm out here on my patio. It is such a beautiful, peaceful day here in sunny Austin, Texas. And I took that good Sunday nap. I'm sure y'all know about that good Sunday nap. And I got up, and so I started studying. And I've been looking at the woman at the well, the Samaritan woman in the Bible, the woman at the well. And it taught me a whole lot. Obviously, that's a very popular story. I'm sure most of you know of it. You can find it in John chapter 4. It's amazing because the Samaritan woman was someone that Jesus wasn't supposed to talk to. She was considered to be immoral. She was kind of ostracized by society. It was said to have had 5 husbands. And then to be sleeping with someone that wasn't her husband. She was said to be all these things, and people were hating on her. They didn't like her. And yet Jesus spoke to her. And he wasn't supposed to speak to her, not just because of what people said about her in terms of being immoral, but he wasn't supposed to speak to her because in that time, men were not supposed to publicly speak to women. What I love about Jesus is that he will qualify those that you would think should not be qualified. In their conversation, which I have to mention is the longest conversation biblically recorded with Jesus. It's the longest conversation. The conversation between the woman at the well and Jesus is the longest conversation that he has had. It is also the first conversation where he actually mentions himself as the Messiah. Other people at this point have called him the Messiah. He has, said, I am who I am, but he never said, I am the Messiah out of his mouth until he had this conversation with the woman at the well. This story teaches us so many different things. The first thing is that Jesus considered us as women, that he acknowledged us, that he empowered us, and that he anointed us. He talked to this woman when he wasn't supposed to. He encouraged her. He changed her life. And then he sent her off to go and do the same thing for other people. Now, at this point, we weren't even supposed to be talking to men. And Jesus said, I don't care about that. I'm going to talk to you. I don't care what they say about you. I don't care what they say you've done. I'm going to talk to you. And when he started the conversation with her, he actually started by asking her for a drink from the well. Now, those of us that know Jesus know that he didn't have to ask her for anything. He turned water into wine. If he wanted water, he could get water. But he started the conversation by asking her, can I have some water? And to me, that kind of shows that he knew how to approach her. He wasn't trying to shove anything down her throat. He approached her cautiously. He approached her giving her some sort of power. He approached her saying, can I have some water from you? Not, this is what I want to give you completely off the top, but can I get some water from you? He made her comfortable. How many times do we go and try to talk to others and we make them uncomfortable? We don't consider that they can't receive what we're saying because we're judging. They can't receive what we're saying because we're coming directly at them, trying to hit them over the head with what we believe and our principles. But he actually took the time to say, hey, can I have some water? And that struck up a conversation because she was wondering, A, why are you talking to me? And B, why are you willing to drink from my cup? Like, this is something that's unheard of, and yet you are willing to do this. So it allowed her to be comfortable. It allowed her to want to speak to him. And as they continue to speak, he starts to tell her, I am the Messiah. And she's a little confused about it. She's kind of going back and forth with him like, I know that there will be a Messiah. I know that the Messiah is coming. And then when the Messiah comes, but he's telling her, no, I am the Messiah. So she's going back and forth with him, asking questions, and he's patient. He's patient with her. He speaks with her patiently. He teaches her patiently. That, to me, says a lot about who he is and who we ought to be to one another. Something else that I want to mention is that we never learned her name. We never knew what the Samaritan woman's name was. We just know that she's the woman at the well. We know that she's the Samaritan woman. And I think sometimes we, as people, as women and as men, we want people to know our names. We want people to know who we are. We want them to honor us and give us reverence. But at the end of the day, your story can travel to to far off countries, and they don't need to know your name, because that's not what it's about. This woman had the longest conversation biblically recorded with Jesus, and we never learn her name. She taught us so many things through her interaction with Jesus, and we never learned her name. And what's funny is that this story is in John. And as we learn about the story, we know that there was no one there but her and Jesus. So the fact that John wrote about the story means that either someone told him, could have been Jesus, or he heard it, that the story traveled so far that it was heard by him, that it got back to him, that it got back to all these different people. So clearly, her name didn't matter. She still has a lasting presence in our biblical history. So why are we so worried about if people know our names, if people know what we're doing? Have you ever noticed that when you are on Facebook Live or you put up a picture that you might have more views than you have likes? They don't have to like you to listen to you. People sit on your video and they're learning from you, and they don't like it. They don't want you to know they're there. They don't share it. You can invite them to like your stuff. They won't like it, but they looked at it. But they learned from it. And that's where our focus should be. Our focus shouldn't be on, you got to know my name. You got to give me likes. You got to give me views. It's, hey, if I'm helping you, that's all that I was sent here to do. It's him that should be honored, not me. That's what my husband's texting me, y'all. Oh, is my connection messed up? Someone tell me if my connection's messed up. Are we good? Okay. I don't want to go and take it off of Wi-Fi, because I feel like if I do that, then I'll lose you. I'll have to come back. So next time I'll remember to take it off of Wi-Fi. Thank you, honey. You know, something else that this woman teaches us is that no mess is too big of a mess. For Jesus, no mess is too big of a mess to be considered by him, to be talked to by him, to be loved by him. But no mess is too big of a mess to be used by him. Because she then goes on, after she has this interaction with him at the well, she then goes on to minister to people. And what's really interesting is that this woman who came to the well, she came by herself, which was also unheard of. She came by herself to this well. Now, back in that time, women used to go together. It was like how we go shopping together. Women used to go together to the well. It was their fellowshipping time. The fact that she was by herself says that she didn't have friends, that people did not like her, that people didn't want to be around her. So she stuck to herself. She went at times when other people weren't going to be there. She was alone. She probably was under the radar. She was probably embarrassed about all the things that she had done in her life, probably of the reputation that she had. Let's remember, she had 5 husbands and then was with one that was not her husband. But he talked to her anyway. He loved her anyway. And the love that he showed her then manifested into other people. After that brief conversation that he had with her at that well, she then goes back to her little city and she tells people, I met the Messiah. He knew all about me. The fact that she said he knew all about me shows that she was then empowered about her own story. This woman that wanted to hide, this woman that didn't have friends, this woman that walked by herself, this woman that women didn't want to be around, she then went back to her city and said, he knew all about me. I want to believe that when she went back to her city and said they knew all about me, that she was then okay with who she was, that she was okay with the things that she had done, that she embraced her past and her story. And some of us really think that because of what we've done, because of who we've been, because of the mistakes we've made, that we can't be used, that we're not loved, that we have to be quiet. She proves to us that that's not true. She proves to us that despite all of that, you can still be used. So she goes back to that city and she then preaches and she tells people of this man that changed her life at the well. She tells people that he knew who she was. She tells people that he knew me, and I want you to know him. And she changes the city. If you go back to John chapter 4, if you go back and you read the end of their story, you see that it says that Samaria is changed, that the city changes, that they then believe her. And they say, okay, I want to know about this Jesus. I want to get some of this water, this everlasting water that is mentioned, that he says that he can give her. I want that. And then they go seek him out. And then they say to her, we believe you, not just because of what you told us. We believe you because now we've seen it for ourselves. So her story encouraged them to find him and learn for themselves. We still don't know her name, but we know that she empowered other people to be empowered. We know that she changed a city. A woman that was considered a whore, a Samaritan woman that was not supposed to be talked to by Jews, a woman who wasn't supposed to be talked to, period, by men, changed a city. So what is it that you can change? What is it that you have in you that you're hiding, that you're running from? Why are you walking to the well by yourself, not wanting to share the things that you've done? Your mess, your test is somebody else's lesson. It's somebody else's release. You got to be transparent about who you are. Something else that Jesus showed us in this passage was that he knew. The way that he convinced her that he was who he said he was by saying, you have had 5 wives. You have had 5 husbands. You have had 5 husbands, and you are now with one that isn't yours. He said that to her. He told her that. He knew everything about her. So there's no need for us to pretend like he doesn't already know. He knows. So the only person we're really hiding from is ourselves. That's right. There is healing and transparency, Nicole. 100%. The thing is that when you embrace your story, when you embrace the things that you've gone through, nobody can use it against you. You can't tell me something about myself that I already know. I'm good with it. I'm cool with it. I know who I am. I know what I've done. I made those choices. You can't use that against me. I own it. It's made me who I am. It's made me have the ability to talk to you. It's made me have the ability to relate to you. It's made me want to share with you. It's made me want to encourage you, to change you. Absolutely, there's healing and transparency. I just think that it's important for us to remember that the longest recorded conversation that Jesus had with a woman, we don't know her name. We don't know her name. She doesn't have a book of the Bible. But yet, it still manifests today. It's still something that we can learn from today. Actually, if you research the city that she was from, it's known. It's historically known for being a city that loves God, that worships God, that still talks about that story. So she really isn't a hidden figure. We talk about hidden figures on my website, herstorylives.com. She changed a city. Hi, Elder Lane. How are you? God bless you. So, I don't know. I'm sitting outside, you guys. I'm studying. And I just thought about the world that we live in today and how we have these messages and we have these, ministries and stories. And sometimes we just feel like no one wants to hear it. And a lot of the time that we feel that is because we post things or we say things or we, preach things, and it just seems like no one's listening because you don't see the Facebook likes. But I just want to encourage you to keep going, to keep pushing, to embrace who you are, to love who you are, and to remember that God loves you. And they don't have to like you to learn from you. So I hope that blessed somebody today. Go to www.herstorylives.com. I would love to connect with you guys. That's my website. It's really just all about uncovering some of these hidden women that are in our Bible. I've talked about it in a couple of videos on my page. You can see that. If you go to the website, you can learn more about it. But the whole idea is that, you know, we as women were represented in that book too. And it wasn't just as being mothers. It wasn't just as being prostitutes. There are some powerful women that were mothers and some powerful women that were prostitutes. And I think that those are important women to celebrate. However, there are women that were ministers. There are women that were judges. There are women that did some of the exact same things that the men that we always learn about did. And so it's important for us as women to be able to relate to some of those women. It's important for us to know that we do have a place, that we've always had a place. But you can't argue that you have a place or try to prove that you have a place if you don't know, if you don't study, if you don't learn about these people. So what I really want to do is uncover these women. I want to talk about these women. I want to learn from these women. And it's not to say that the men are not, you know, figures that we should learn from. They're just as powerful, and we definitely should learn from them as well. But I just think that there's an underrepresentation. Just like there are in so many sectors of the world, there's an underrepresentation of us when it comes to biblical lessons, when it comes to biblical characters, when it comes to sermons preached on characters. We just aren't represented. And if we are, it's not always correctly. So I want to not only uncover these women, but I want to uncover them in a way that is truthful, in a way that is scripturally based, that, you know, I'll give you an example. Mary Magdalene. That's my homegirl. Everyone that knows me knows that. I always talk about Mary Magdalene. But one of the reasons why I love her is because people think that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute. And she wasn't. And so she was my living proof. She's the proof of what I'm trying to say, is that, you know, we learn these things. There is no scriptural representation. There's nothing that has ever been written stating that Mary Magdalene was a prostitute, but we were taught that. But what we do know is that Mary Magdalene was possessed with demons, that she was exorcised by Jesus of those demons, that she went on to learn from him, that some, you know, said that she was with the disciples more than any other woman, that there is a scripture that states that she was one of 7 women that helped to finance Jesus' ministry. So she was intelligent, she was a businesswoman, she was wealthy. Those things we do know. And we, of course, know that she was the first person that knew of Jesus rising. He came to her first. He said, go tell the good news. She was an apostle to the apostles. So these are the type of stories that I want to discuss. These are the type of stories that I feel like we need to discuss. The truth is, there really is an answer for everything in the good book. And so these women are women that I feel like they will help us. They'll help us every day. So check out my website. Go to, hi Beatrice, how are you? Go to www.herstorylives.com, and you can learn more about everything that I've been talking about. I'll likely put this video up, so if you missed it, it'll be on there, but you can also see it on my page. Something else that I want to mention before I jump off of here is we have something called the Mary and Elizabeth Network. It really speaks to everything that we kind of talked about on this call today, on this live today. It is birthed out of the story of Mary and Elizabeth. Thanks, babe. www.herstorylives.com is right there. It is birthed out of the story of Mary and Elizabeth. Mary, mother of Jesus. Elizabeth, mother of who we later find out to be John the Baptist. John the Baptist was said to have been dead in the womb, and when Mary goes to visit Elizabeth right after finding out that she's pregnant with Jesus, she speaks to Elizabeth, and the baby is said to leap. The baby is said to move. So the baby is now alive. It is well. And there's so much power in that. There's power because it took another woman's voice to wake up the dead thing in another woman. So sometimes I think it's necessary for us to remember that connection is important. Support as sisters is important. But even more so, what was inside of Mary was Jesus, the living word. She was literally carrying the living word. So the word that's in you can empower something in someone else. The word that's in you can wake up the dead thing in someone else. And so that story encourages me, it empowers me, and it motivates me. And I think that as women today, we need to have those types of relationships. We need to understand that we have our own Marys and Elizabeths in our lives, and we need, women to connect with, women to relate to, women to worship with, to pray with. And it's not to say that you don't have a ton of friends. I have many friends, but sometimes you just need someone that is unbiased, that doesn't know you, and you need someone that has that same foundation, that same support system, same belief that you have. So the Mary and Elizabeth Network is on herstorylives.com. There's just a quick form that you fill out, and what we do is we pair you with a woman you've never met. Someone can be completely on the other side of the U.S. I paired someone from Illinois and then someone else from Hawaii. And so once you're paired, your emails are exchanged. You're able to email one another, communicate with each other, empower each other, share, goals and dreams, pray each other through situations, and then the relationship becomes yours. You're able to talk on the phone if you want to talk on the phone, Skype if you want to Skype, Zoom whatever you do, it's up to you. But you foster this relationship for a year, and then we will come together and we will have a Leap retreat in 2018 where you can possibly for the first time meet the sister that you've been paired with, and then you can also meet other sisters. So you'll be able to meet other pairs that have been doing the same thing as you, having this experience of a year of just growing with one another. And we have all kinds of different activities that we'll do at the retreat. We'll just learn from one another and just be replenished and have a revival and be able to leave and feel refreshed. And at that retreat, then you'll be paired with someone new. So the whole idea is that after you have that one relationship, that you'll then have a second and a third and a fourth, and that's how you will have your own support system, your own foundation, your own network of women and of believers, squad goals. So that's something else that you can find on my website. Squad goals t-shirts. I have one on right now. It's really just calling out these wonderful women, Mary, Elizabeth, Hannah, Phoebe, women that some people have never heard of that are in the Bible. In the back of the shirt says squad goals, because those are the type of women we want to be with today. Those are the type of women we want to be in our circle, squad. So there are some real cool t-shirts that you can find on my website. That is one of them. I also have a new collection that is called the Just Like Me collection. And it was created to celebrate women of today through women of the past. So there are shirts that are on there that have names. For example, the Bianca. Bianca actually happens to be my very own Mary. I am not going to have a network and not go through the same process that I want to put these sisters through. So I have my own Mary. And so we fellowship with each other, and we talk every week, and we support one another in each other's ministries. But so, for example, she has a shirt that is called the Bianca, but what is on it is anointed like Phoebe and wise like Deborah. So there are these different women on each shirt and the attributes that we know them as, the things that we can learn from them. And so all of us as women, we have these attributes. So it's a way to not only celebrate our power and our strength, but bring light to some of these women that we never hear from. And so when you go on the website and you see the shirts, there is a caption for each shirt, and it will tell you a brief little synopsis of the woman and why that shirt is says what it says. So there's a lesson even in purchasing shirts. And so I would love for you to just go on the site, connect with me, join the Mary and Elizabeth Network. If you need the extra nudge, hit me up and I'll give it to you, because the truth is, like we talked about today, you have something to teach and you have something to learn. And there's nothing that you've been through that is too big that disqualifies you from God's love or disqualifies you from being able to be a blessing to someone else. So I love all of you, and I will see you again very soon, and peace out.